So my man, Big Brother Q.
What up?
What up, man?
Big Brother CG Almighty.
Thanks for being here on the initial podcast christening as the good ship is about to set sail. And it's set sail on your birthday.
It's the good ship. I'm glad to be here, homie. Glad to be here.
Well, happy birthday, man. How does it feel to be your age?
You can say it, man. 54.
How does it feel to be 54?
54, man. It feels fantastic.
Okay.
You know, man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed, man. I'm thankful. I just got off the phone with my son. He called me. You know, he's incarcerated.
Yeah.
And so he just blessed me for the day. He was asking me, what you gonna do for the day, Dad? You know what I'm saying? You gonna get turned up. And I'm like, son, I said, I did all my celebration this morning, man, at the edge of the bed on my knees.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he brought, the good Lord brought me from a long way, from a whole lot of situations where I ain't even really supposed to be here. So, that's my celebration is already been done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Don't talk about. Thank you for being here. I'm glad to celebrate this day with you, and I'm glad you are here to share your time and wisdom. And this is a question that I put out to the community: is what is community to you?
I always try to look up words and get a better understanding of them.
Yeah. Because
sometimes we can live our lives with a different interpretation of what words mean. We're word-controlled people. And sometimes our definition of things is just totally off from what the true word is. And so when I think about community, its definition circles around people coming together with the same interests or the same shared interests, shared desires, shared like culture, people thinking in the same and caring for one another, and having shared goals.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? What do you mean by shared goals?
When I read the definition of it, it just made me think about my neighborhood when I was growing up, and when somebody can come to the house and borrow a cup of sugar, or us going down to the next door neighbor to, borrow some milk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And us sharing resources with one another, right? That's one example. The other is me realizing that I'm gonna get held accountable by Miss Them across the street.
Yeah.
Me knowing that I ain't just got to answer to my mother, but to the grandmother down the road. They gonna tell on me if I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
They're gonna talk to my mother.
Yeah.
Or getting like in my wife's situation, when her mother cooks, plates being prepared and sent out to the elders.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever they are in the neighborhood, down the street, on the next street over, this, that, and the other. So all of those things fit under that umbrella of shared goals.
Mm-hmm.
And typically what our shared goal was that brought us together in retrospect was the shared goal of survival.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so with our shared goals of survival bringing us together, years ago, I feel like my desire is for us to have shared goals to thrive.
Mm.
And I'm not sure that we've fully learned how to do that yet, because we're still suffering from the vestiges of just survival.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that too. It's one of the things that I think in mainstream media they don't talk about. It's not a narrative that people embrace. It's more about I feel like the debates are should we just move on, and or how do we deal with the history of slavery and this country? How do we deal with the history in this country in a real way, or should we just like gloss over it and move forward? And I think glossing over and just moving forward leaves it's like looking at a body, if the country is a body, and see that the leg is infected, and you just pretend like it's not infected. You're not going to be healthy.
Yeah.
So can we backtrack a little bit? Because
Sure.
I really want to know. I want to let everybody know who you are, what you're about, and kind of what you're into.
Simple man with simple pleasures. Now, my name is Quinton Harrell. I am a spoke in the wheel of life. I'm a lifetime learner. I'm inspired by and fueled by seeking and gaining perspective from those around me. I consider myself a curious person, and what that has led me down a trail in life to have some bumps and bruises, but to come out as a person with a little bit more wisdom, a social entrepreneur, and someone who wants to become successful not only for myself, but for those around me.
Can you talk a little bit more about why it's important to be curious? Why is it important to you to be curious?
I'll say it's important to me because it is what leads me to liberation. It's what leads me to gems, to hidden treasures, to wealth, to expansion of understanding. It leads me to, and I'll go back to liberation, it leads me to a place where I can manage my stress or anger based on race and all those things, and slavery and the way our society operates around race and culture, and all the tomfoolery that goes on within it, the unfairness, the inhumanity that still exists. All those things, and the list is long, but curiosity and gaining perspective allows me to look at it and learn from it and learn how to navigate, as opposed to just reacting emotionally and being on edge and inflamed all the time. Because if I didn't, and if I wasn't curious and looking at race and racism in a different way, and trying to just understand people and why people do the things that they do, then I'll probably be incarcerated, because I would probably did something, and tried to hurt somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so curiosity is important, because that is, when everyone is curious, wealth is created. And what I mean by that is new systems are created, new thought patterns are developed, actual things are built that benefit society.
I mean, I feel that, because I think curiosity for me helps me understand my landscape. When I think about my dad, he was very curious about life. He used to read encyclopedias and the dictionary for a pastime.
Yeah.
He was curious to know what words meant. He was curious to know where things came from, like why they existed. And I think that, what you inspire me to say is that when you understand your surroundings, you can navigate better. You can navigate more clearly, because you can see what you might not have been looking at, obstacles or otherwise, to kind of achieve your goals. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I should have said it like that. That was much more concise.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I'm just re-saying what you're saying.
No doubt.
So you identified yourself as curious, and you also identified yourself as a social entrepreneur. So can you talk a little bit about why? Because you can embrace yourself and identify yourself as a lot of things, because you are so many things. So why did you choose that? How's that important to you?
Looking back on my childhood, I grew up almost trained to be an entrepreneur. But when I grew up in my neighborhood, it was a culture of hustling. So it goes back to that survival mode. But like young cats around in my neighborhood, that dude was the one that had the lawnmower and cut and how many yards.
Yeah, I remember that.
And how many yards.
Yep.
Like, yo, that Bama got 10 yards,
right.
Or the paper route,
Mm-hmm.
And being able to, finish out your paper route and folding that dough, although you had to pay half of it to, or the majority of it to Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright was the dude that hired all the young dudes to deliver the papers, but you still made some cash.
I had a paper route too, man.
There it is.
Man.
So these are the things. So, and then what we would do is there was we 8, 9, 10 years old. We had this big pecan tree, like 4, 5 blocks down from where our neighborhood is. And so on Saturday mornings, we would go down to that pecan tree and fill up remember the old big grocery bags, brown bags, fill them up with pecans.
Okay.
And then go back to our neighborhood, to our street, and go door to door and sell them to the elders, $5 a bag.
Gotcha.
And then we take the $5, go to the candy lady and buy a bunch of candy. So everybody got the candy, and then we'll gamble, play tunk or spades, and gamble candy all day. So we always, when I look back on it, we had an entrepreneurial spirit, but we were just doing it for ourselves, just to benefit ourselves.
Yeah.
Over the years, as I've continued to do things, and I often share the story about when I was in D.C., because when I grew up, I was in Suffolk, Virginia.
Okay.
When I was a child. I spent my formative years in the D.C. metropolitan area. So, and while I'm in D.C., I link up with this cat, and we come up with this plan to look in the Washington Post, classifieds, find the free animals that's being given away out in Northern Virginia in the wealthy parts. We go out and pick up the free, whatever that free animal is we find in the classifieds, take it back to our house. I either keep it or Donnell keep it at his house, and then we'll list it in the paper back in the Washington Post and sell it, the following week or the following couple of weeks later. And that's how we would make money as well. So we were always thinking about ways on making money. All throughout my years, it led from that. It led to drug dealing. And so all these things, all the way to breaking the law, was all entrepreneurial thoughts and pursuits, but to serve me. But later on in life, after getting my head hit a couple of times, being incarcerated, getting back on track, and finally going to school again for the 3rd time after dropping out 2 times, it finally clicked as an adult. And when I went to school and got my degree in business, as an adult.
Yeah.
This is a long answer, but it's why. I was learning all these business concepts as an adult. I was like, oh man, I wish I would have known these theories, these principles way back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, Cats need to know about this. This is what's up right here. And so it set the stage for me wanting to do it the right way, but serve as an example so that and give people the perspective that there's another way to build it. And being rich is one thing, being wealthy is another. And you can change your trajectory, you can change your family's life in a way, there's a pathway forward. Because if I just found out about it and I want to share it, I want to share it so you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. I think that encapsulates why I call myself a social entrepreneur. Because I want my entrepreneurship not only to serve me and my family, but I want it to serve my community as well.
Okay. What are 2 things that you would tell your younger self that you would think would be transformational if you knew that information?
Pull the thread. Don't be afraid to pull the thread and ask the question. My brother would tell his niece, the dumbest question is the question that's not asked. And so don't act like you know everything. Don't be afraid to ask a question of someone, because you'll be so amazed what you can learn. And you'll be so amazed what people are willing to share from here, not from out of their pocket. The other thing would be, don't sell those shares. Later on in life, when in my 20s, I had about $4,000 split up between eBay and Amazon. And I decided to buy them at that young age just because I liked those companies. You know, I used to read The Motley Fool.
Okay.
Back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yo, I like them joints. I put about $4,000 into them. And times got tight at one point, and I owed tickets or something, but I was in need of cash. And so what I would tell my younger self is find another way to take care of that. Leave that alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if I would have left that alone, those 2, at least one of them would be a significant game changer right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that reminds me of this idea, or this financial idea that I just heard about online about borrowing against what you have invested in. So you can keep all that money in the bank and then use that as leverage. So let's say it's $4,000, and instead of paying off with the $4,000, you just borrow against it.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. I was like, I'm going to be doing that. I'm gonna be doing that.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I bought a property that way later on in life. You know, back in 2020.
Yeah.
Using that. But had I known, you know, had I asked somebody a question many years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I may have known. I may have had a network that would have schooled me on how to do those things back when I ain't know nothing.
Okay. Thinking about my dad, I often think like he's imparted wisdom on me that has helped me throughout my life. And sometimes I'm like, if my dad met other people, it'd be great for other people to meet my dad, because if they met him, he'd probably tell them the same kind of stories and they would get whatever they get from it. And that power is amazing. And so that leads me to this question of, if there's something what is something that somebody taught you?
I think the simplest would be my older brother, God rest his soul, saying that the dumbest question is the question not asked. You know, because, and I feel like it changes lives, because there is so many times that people will go will go through being in a setting, somebody's sharing information, and they're scared to ask the question because they don't want to feel like everybody, or they don't want people to think that they're dumb,
Right.
or that they're ignorant, or what have you.
Right.
And they miss out, and we miss out. I ain't gonna say they. I'll say we. We miss out on a jewel that can change our lives because we don't ask the question.
Well, I feel like I'm right there. I've been there myself because I'm worried about what somebody's going to think about me. And now I'm dealing with it on another level with my son, who I'm like, I don't think asks enough questions. He's in that mode of, because he's a teenager, and he's like, I know, Dad. And me wanting to just tell him, have you thought about it this way? And he doesn't want to hear any of that. So and looking at it and knowing the missed opportunity and having that kind of mindset. So like I get it.
Yeah.
I get
So
it.
maybe you can show him this footage.
I will be showing him this
You
podcast.
hear-
He
you
will
hear
be
it from
looking.
somebody
He
else.
will be looking, and I would be like, "Can you?" I would be like, "I want you to watch Q talk about. You met Q. I want you to talk and just listen to what he has to say right here."
The dumbest question is the question not asked.
There you go. People have a lot of complaints about this community. Things that are wrong, things that could be better. What's a thing that if it changed, it would make this community better?
Self-introspection.
What do you mean by it?
Looking at oneself when seeing a problem in front of you. And if we could have a critical mass of all of us looking within, I think it will allow for one of those people to be able to facilitate a gathering of a bunch of self-introspected people to identify and agree upon at least 3 shared goals,
Yeah.
AKA what a community does. You know, instead of what our natural lower self does, is look for, identify the problems and allow people to gas us up to continue to pontificate on the problem, as opposed to looking in, seeing how I can contribute to the solution, or coming up with the solution to share. Everybody come to the table with a solution to share, and then come to an agreement on how, on which way to implement. I think self-introspection and holding ourselves accountable to how are we going to contribute is a very important component that can set the stage for better collaboration when we all come together.
Okay. Yeah, because you talked a little bit about that in your childhood, how we had people looking out. There'd be a neighbor who was going to call you out. And I've heard so many stories about that growing up, and that how much that has changed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that.
And a big cultural issue that we have that causes a confusion is that we know and recognize and have experienced what collectivism does. You know, we know that the power of that, the benefit of collectivism, but we are trained in our society in individualism. Our training is individualism, but our gut experience and the things that we've experienced is in total counter to it, and it just causes a whole bunch of confusion.
One of the foundational problems in most conversations is that it's a confused conversation. And I could, I even thought about calling this podcast like outside the circles. Outside the circles because people are talking in circles. And like most people who argue don't even, from my understanding and my observation, like most people who we don't, if we're arguing, we're not talking about the same thing. We could be talking about two parts of the same thing, but we have a different idea in our head that we're very strong, we feel very strongly about, and we're like, that is right, and we probably are right in our perspective. but it is possible to have two people that are right about something.
It's a glitch in the program, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we get caught. We're caught in a loop.
Right.
We're caught in a data loop, and our culture we jacked up in what we value, and sometimes what we value is the antagonism. Sometimes we value too much the identification of the problem. We give more value to those who identify and point out the problem, as opposed to identifying and going all in on the solution, or even just valuing the need to come up with the solution. You know, just like yesterday, because I'm ready for the Florida State Virginia game tonight, right?
Okay.
And yesterday I saw Tiki Barber talking about when they beat him in '95.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said, I'm like, yeah, I forgot that. Don't lose vision of the goal because of the obstacle. If you see the obstacle, you can't see the goal. You know what I mean? Like, if you concentrate, if you're keeping your eye on the prize, then all efforts, the value will be on how to get around or get over the obstacle and get to the prize, as opposed to just concentrating on the problem, aka obstacle.
Yeah, I love that. I connect with that because I was talking to someone about public speaking and their fear of public speaking, and it was like they were confused why the nervousness came, why they can do so many good things in their life, but public speaking was an issue. And I was like, well, what I had learned is if I'm worried about how people are receiving it, then I get nervous. And that's the problem.
True story.
Exactly what you're saying. I'm focusing on the problem instead of just focusing on the information that I need to pass on, and opening a space and letting go of the idea that I can control how they're going to react to it. They might hate it, they might love it, whatever.
For sure.
Right? But I can affect my performance. And if I concentrate on that, like Tiki Barber's saying, like that idea that's great, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I love that.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom. You hear that? Like, listen to that. Take that on.
Every now and then.
Yeah. As much as you can.
No, I'm saying every now and then wisdom is dropped.
Oh, yeah. Well, you drop wisdom all the damn time. So that's one thing I appreciate about our relationship and friendship. Like, it's just like you are a bundle of wisdom, and every time you tell me stories about your life, I'm always impressed and amazed on how you came through whatever trials and tribulations that you had. And just knowing you from the time that I met you, I would never know that you had those. I would just be like, this is a cool dude who is just nice and kind and generous and introspective, and means well for the community. Like that. And likes the stuff I like. Likes to go golf and challenge ourselves to make fools out of ourselves on the golf course and all the things, you know. Just like enjoy, somebody who enjoys music, enjoys life. So
and can laugh at ourselves.
And definitely laugh at ourselves. We gotta laugh at ourselves.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah. The good Lord brought me a long way. You know what I mean? But it's always been in me.
Yeah.
You know, so to hear you say that, man, that I appreciate it. Because we can be our worst critics.
Yeah.
You dig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate you and your wife.
Yeah.
And that relationship has been very powerful to me. That you stand from the things that work and the wisdom that you guys share just by being you, being the example that you are. And I don't mean to pressure you into being like having a perfect relationship or even pretending to have one, because I know we talk and you don't. Just like every relationship has, you have things you need to work through.
True story.
But just seeing you and your other half just doing the things that y'all do, living the way you live, I think it's, I can't say that it's true, but from my perspective, it might be more powerful than you recognize.
Man, I appreciate that too. To hear that from you, it's just a testament of, or reinforcement that God ordained our relationship. God ordained our marriage. You know what I mean? We oftentimes agree that if we would have met each other 10 or 20 years prior to when we did, wasn't happening. Wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? We both agree with that emphatically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we'll be like, what? Hold up. What you saying?
Yeah.
Just joking. But we know we've been a match. And so based on our experiences, it has allowed us to create what we have created together. She definitely has made me better. But it's so fascinating to me to hear and actually read the other day, because one of our assignments through therapy was to, my therapist said to ask your wife to, you beat yourself up a lot. Ask your wife to write down your accomplishments, because you don't really, you feel like you haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah.
And what she wrote out, it was mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, damn.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you see me that way. Like, so you see more in me than I see in myself.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And so when you got two people that do that, and two people that speak kindly and hold their mate in high esteem to others, they don't have to be around. She speaks highly of me amongst her network. I speak highly of her amongst my network. That's I think the good Lord adds some flavor to your relationship when you do things like that.
Yeah.
And so the last thing I'll say is relationship wise, what I think what the secret sauce has been also is the Almighty moved me to create a vision and a mission statement for my family. And that just came from my exposure to doing community work in Charlottesville. It was just with all, sitting on steering committees or boards and this, that, and other, and seeing how organizations organize themselves. And me being a social entrepreneur and realizing that, hey, okay, I want to run my family like a business to a certain degree with the spiritual component. It led me to come up with and for me and my wife to work together on a mission and a vision statement.
Yeah.
With values, a list of values, just like when somebody's setting up an organization, a vision, mission, values, and and then set goals.
Yeah.
Based on
those values.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as far as relationship, my failed marriage, and then I have a new relationship that I feel like vetting is a huge thing that people don't do. I talk about it all the time, we talk about it all the time. It's like the proper vetting, and in the stages of a relationship, especially when you start, is hugely important, and it's mostly covered up by like physical or and that blurs the whole picture.
True story.
And so I think friendship is like starting out as friends is I'm on a soapbox about it. I think I told you about it before. It's
no
just
doubt.
like
No doubt.
start out as friends, and you can figure out those pieces that fit, and then all the other stuff is going to happen. Intimacy is going to happen because you've already sorted the other stuff out, and it becomes stronger because of it. And then when you set your pillars, like you're saying, I'm just connecting with that. I'm just restating it because I'm just letting you know I understand it.
For sure.
That is a very powerful way to move through life, because now you're setting your action out of, you're setting the events that you want to have. You know the people you want to hang out with because those pillars are set up. It's like it's just like a domino effect, a positive domino effect of a powerful way to move through the world. So that's awesome to hear.
Without a doubt, man. It's yo, man. You said something about the vetting, because the vetting is like the biggest aha moment I ever had, because the physical man will lead you down some long paths, wasted time, and some people have more commitment than others going down that path. And then you find out the truth after after the physical piece wears away, when it's not as fresh and new. That's when you start seeing the truth, and then sometimes it's way down the line, and it just causes even more problems, because you pissed. You pissed at them, you pissed at yourself. It just ain't good. So one of the things, my previous relationship, I was in a relationship for six years. And, she wanted to get married, but it was just, I just couldn't, beautiful woman, not really rah-rah, but it was just something about, I couldn't put my finger on it, but I can't commit to this woman.
Well, I think that this is kind of ties into what you were talking about before, about timing, about the person that you are in the different stages of your life. Because it wasn't my ex's fault that I can't blame. It takes two people to have a relationship.
Yeah.
And if two people aren't firing on all cylinders, they can bring it down.
After I finally came out of that relationship with this young lady, because I wasn't all good either. There was certain things that I still needed to learn, because big lesson I learned is two young people who were both raised in single mother homes can actually have problems in a relationship together if the communication level and the learning level is not up to par, because neither one of us had a father in the household. So me being a father figure in our household became friction. She not used to that. And I may not have the balance required, the wisdom and the balance required to run a household as a male, or to be a partner in a household.
Right.
Hold on, what you telling you can't tell me what to do.
Right.
And boom, hey, yo, put my foot down. You got to put, you know what I mean? Right. And not having the wisdom to a reference point, it just wasn't gonna work. So that was one lesson I learned. The big point, back to that big point again, is afterwards I realized, I had an aha moment listening to Welch, the guy that used to run GE, about hiring superstars in his organization. And the lesson was about values. And you have to hire people who have aligned values to your organization. And you can hire a superstar salesperson, talented, smart, intelligent, but if they don't have the same values as your organization,
Right.
they will become a cancer to your organization.
Right.
I had an aha moment. I'm like, yo, that shit, excuse me, that stuff right there
Yeah.
matches for relationships too.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't, because we had differing value systems, you know? And so, not to say that my value system was the top and the utmost,
Yeah.
but ours just didn't align on some of the most important things.
Yeah.
So I think that is the base, the foundational component that you must have when you're vetting. When you're dating is finding out and you need to know what your values are.
Right. Right. That's a small yeah, small point.
Yeah, yeah. So you can't be vetting somebody
Right.
on values if you don't know what your values are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's about what? Self-introspection.
Yes. Yeah. I feel you. I think a lot of people, by the things that they don't know to ask or not asking, not having the courage to ask a question, end up pigeonholing themselves, and then they miss out on life. They don't go. Their identity is a specific thing, and that's a whole nother conversation about identity. Something I believe in is that everybody should have access to whatever they want to be. And I think some of the ways we think about ourselves, we hold ourselves back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Well, one thing I would say, and it actually makes me think about one of your previous questions on what would you tell your younger self, is don't worry about what people think about you. You know, know thyself. Take time for the self-introspection. One of the purposes of self-introspection for you to know thyself. And it is the only way that we can be true to ourselves is when we get to know ourselves. Instead of taking on, because we take on personas of other people. You know, I know I used to do it when I was young. You know, when I was growing up in Suffolk, Virginia, I wanted to be from New York. I wanted to have a New York. I wanted to have an accent and all, all that, man. You know,
whatever you thought was cool.
I wanted that. But what I learned as I got older is, I'll call it a factor of low self-esteem.
Gotcha.
And we all have low self-esteem to certain levels or degrees. Some are more. For some people, it is more outrageous than others, but we all suffer from low self-esteem.
It's like pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. That's one way that it shows up.
Yeah,
that's one iteration of it.
Okay.
Taking on the persona of someone else because we feel like that we're not enough. We won't be accepted. We're dumb. We don't want to let people know. They're all gonna laugh at you.
Right.
They're all gonna laugh at you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those things are real, man.
Yeah.
Those are real obstacles that we have in our psyche that doesn't allow us to step into and be our true self.
Yeah.
Racial low self-esteem that we experience in America just based on the propaganda machine of racism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All types of examples. Here's an example. A black person feeling funny style about eating watermelon at a company picnic.
Yeah. And watermelon's delicious.
Or is splendid.
Yeah.
And fried chicken too.
Yeah.
Splendid.
Absolutely. Everybody loves fried chicken.
You know, but
yeah.
Based on the propaganda that has been, along with all the other things about black people, we end up doing things that are detrimental to us. Maybe eating watermelon is not one of them, but say the way that we consume, the way that we spend, we do it, and we may not even be conscious of it. We're doing it on a level that is trying to dispel myths about us. about being poor, being lazy, and being this, being that, being slaves, whatever the case may be, whatever the narrative is, our low self-esteem is fighting against those things as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it leads us to make decisions against ourselves and sometimes against our own people because we're unconsciously dealing with low self-esteem.
That's deep. Yeah.
When buying 32 cars, when you do get money, you buy 15 cars to prove what to who? Why?
Yeah.
So know thyself.
Yeah.
And it's an ongoing job, man. Like I'm still, but I have to remind myself of that duty, So when I make a post on Facebook or something, I usually say reminder to self or hashtag reminder to self if I drop a piece of wisdom, because it's not that I'm just want to share with the community, tell the community what y'all need to do, but this is what I'm reminding myself to do, and I'm sharing it. And you can pick it up if you want. Pick up what I'm putting down if you want, but this is what I'm doing.
Got you.
Citizens' needs. So, last thing.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say, because you asked me anything I want to share. I'll close it out with who I am as well. Like when open it up, I'm a husband. I'm now a father. I'm a humble student of life and my family. I'm a businessman. I'm a capitalist. And I'm not ashamed of it because we all signed off on the system to operate in this system. We're not checking out. I'm not getting off the grid anytime soon. So ain't no need for me to fake like I'm not, signed on to the system. I'm learning how to navigate. But how I navigate with my family is a vision of being a strong, blessed family operating under providence. That's the vision. And the mission is to expand our blessings so that we may be more of a blessing to others. And so we operate on that and that alone.
Okay.
And so that right there is my connection and my wife's connection to the community, because all the things that we do in expanding our wealth or expanding our opportunities is so that we can serve as examples and expand opportunities for other people. And if our work if the things that we're doing is not doing that, then you can pull me up and be like, yo, Q, what's up, man? Yo, y'all tripping over there. Because that's out front and in the open. And so with citizens' needs, I connect with that on that level. And I pray for you and hope that you will continue to persevere, because that's servant leadership for you to come up with something called citizens' needs. That means you're thinking about others and you're wanting to serve others. And I hope your podcast serves as that leverage piece so that you can then expand your impact, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
For sure.
I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, Q.
My pleasure.